Okay, hi everybody. Before we get started, just about 400 announcements, not too many tonight. We'll see what happens. I do want to mention a couple of things kind of quickly. We have two programs starting here. I want to kind of tell you about them. We have a 12-step meeting on Monday night. We have a meeting on Monday nights called Refuge Recovery. It's the Buddhist concept of recovery. They do meditation followed by sharing. So it's another whole format of the Buddhist principles in recovery. Also, starting last night at 6 o'clock, we have our first OA meeting here. Okay, so we have OA here every Tuesday night now at 6 o'clock, so you can check that out also. Also, one of our counselors, Tamik, is doing a 4-week workshop called Recovery 101. It's fundamentally a workshop, a recovery support group workshop. Information on that is out at the front. You can check that out. It starts next Tuesday, so if anybody's interested. And Jeff Farnsworth, one of our therapists who does our codependency programs, is starting a new group, if I get it right, Creating Your Personal Spirit. So basically that group will be starting, I think, in 3 weeks. So you can check that out also, okay? And I do want to mention that we still have the Phillies tickets raffle going on. You're more than welcome. We're going to raffle them off next Wednesday after the 7 o'clock lecture. We have the 2 sets of Phillies tickets. There's 4 tickets in a set. There's a preferred parking pass with it. And basically, it's one set is for the Mets, the other set is for the Nationals. So you can check that out. They're $2 a ticket. I tell you, $2 a ticket and 3 for $5. Even you can afford that. I know that. Not a problem. I have to bust somebody. Come on. All right. And also the 10-week club. We'll do our raffle again tonight. We had a winner last week, Mike Valenti, actually my neighbor. So I was kind of glad in a way because I sold 73 tickets. I set my record this year. So basically, I'm glad somebody from the neighborhood won after selling all those tickets. But anyway, we have another one tonight. Tonight, the prize is $100 tonight. We'll do that drawing after the lecture tonight. Okay? And also my thought for the month for August is out there. It's on the KISS principle. So you can check that out if you want. Now, the Keep It Simple, Stupid principle, it's fantastic. I love it. So we'll see what happens. Okay. That's all the commercials. Okay. And I'm going to begin by doing the reading tonight. I picked the one from November 29th. It's the one on the 12th step. Because tonight we're finishing up the series on the steps. And as I mentioned earlier, we've been videotaping all the series. So after we get them done, after tonight, they're going to finish editing them, and then this entire set will go on YouTube. Okay, so it'll be out there hopefully in the next couple of weeks. And then we're going to try to get the rest of them on too. November 29th, step 12. The 12th step says that having had a spiritual awakening, we try to carry this message to others. Our message is one of hope, love, comfort, health, a better way of life, one that works. How do we carry it? Not by rescuing, not by controlling, not by obsessing, not by becoming evangelists for the recovery cause. We carry the message in many small, subtle, and powerful ways. We do our own recovery work and become a living demonstration of hope, self-love, comfort, and health. These quiet behaviors can be a powerful message. Inviting, not ordering or demanding, someone to go to a meeting is a powerful way to carry a message. Going to our meetings and sharing how recovery works for us is a powerful way to carry a message. Being who we are and allowing a higher power to guide our actions are powerful ways to carry the message. Often we find ourselves carrying the message more effectively than we do when we set out to reform, convince, or coerce someone into recovery. Caretaking and controlling are not ways to carry the message. All those behaviors carry is codependency. So the most powerful form of helping others comes down to learning how to help ourselves. When we do our own work and are honest and open about it, we impact others more than our most well-intentioned helping gesture. We cannot change others, but when we change ourselves, we may end up changing the world. Today I will strive to carry the message in ways that work I will let go of my need to help people. Instead, I will concentrate on helping and changing myself. If an opportunity comes up to share my recovery with someone, I will do so quietly. God, help me show others comfort, empowerment, and hope. I can be a channel to help others when I am ready. I don't have to force this. It will happen naturally. I kind of really enjoyed that reading because I truly believe in the philosophy and the concept of the 12th step. But I want to just kind of bring something out before I kind of get into the 12th step itself. The 12th step actually is kind of a conclusion to a big part of what this program really is all about. The steps, when they were put together, the principles of the steps, are pretty simple principles. They teach us self-love, self-awareness, self-discovery, a good sense of ourself as a person. But you notice I said this before, the first 11 steps are geared primarily for us to work on ourselves, to work within our own comfort, to be able to develop who we are as a person. So I've learned over the years, I can't give a gift to anybody else or share anything with anybody else unless I first of all have it to share. So you can't basically give something away from the bank if the bank doesn't have anything in it. And so really in reality, working the steps, working the foundations of the steps, helps us to begin to experience what we call a spiritual awakening. Now, what's a spiritual awakening? A spiritual awakening is nothing more than coming to an awakening to who we are as a person, coming to a knowledge of my personal self, coming to a comfort with who I am. And I've learned over the years that the more peaceful you are, the more serene you are on the inside, then we're able to carry a message, not by what we say, but by who we are. So I've learned over the years, it's the simple little things that carry a message, and most of the time we carry them not even knowing we're carrying a message. You never know how you're going to touch another human being. But I truly believe that if you keep a simple lifestyle, live your life to the best of your ability, be at peace with yourself on the inside, then you will carry a message by the way you live your life. I'll give you an example. Years ago when I started Starting Point, way back in South Philadelphia, as most of you know, it was a halfway house for street people. And we had a small outpatient program. When the guys graduated from the house, they would come back. And we started kind of a little outpatient program where they would come back 9 o'clock in the morning. We serve them lunch, and they would go home around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Well, this guy, Bobby, went through our halfway house, went through our program. He was off the streets. Began to get himself together, got his own apartment. His life changed pretty good. But he would come to our center every day at 9 o'clock in the morning and leave at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. He did that for 1 year, 5 days a week. One day, I got a knock on the front door of the center. I answered the door, and this little guy was standing there. And he said, "Can I talk to you?" I said, "Sure." He says, "Can I ask you a question?" I said, "Yeah." He said, "Well, I live across the street in the apartments. And I noticed this guy that kept coming into your building at 9 o'clock every morning. I used to drink with him on the street. In fact, both of us were pretty big messes on the street." He said, "I don't know what he does in here. Do you mind if I come?" I always loved that concept. See, Bobby didn't know it. Just by showing up for his program every day, he was carrying a message to another individual in person. And that example is what I'm talking about. If you just take the time every day to pray, to meditate, to fill your soul, take time every day just to be who you are, take time every day just to walk the journey to the best of your ability, then literally you never know when you're going to touch another human being or touch another person. You never know when these things are really going to happen. And that is the important thing to try to understand. Because really, in reality, I really believe the greatest messages on the face of this earth are carried by the simple little things that we do every day. And you never know, and that's okay too. I always tell this story, and I love telling this story, about, I guess, 4 years ago, 3 years ago, somewhere around there. I got a letter here at Starting Point. It was addressed to Father Vince. So I got the letter, I opened it up, and I looked at the return address. I had no idea who it was from. And I opened the letter up and I looked at it. And it's interesting, the guy who wrote the letter was a guy I had visited in prison in 1976. In 1976, I was the chaplain at the Atlantic County Jail. And I had a little custom I used to do. When guys were graduating and going to graduate school, as I used to call it. By the way, that was Trenton State Prison in Rahway. We used to call that graduate school back then. They passed the test at the county jail, and now they can move on. Anyway, he said, "You gave me a book." I did. I have no idea who this guy is. He said, "Yeah," because back then what I used to do is, a lot of times I would give out, the paperback copies of the big book to different people. Sometimes if they're going to Trenton, I'd write phone numbers in Trenton area, stuff like that. He said, one day I was sitting in my cell, and he said, I was bored. I was kind of really bored. So I basically looked through my locker and I found that book you gave me. And I said, oh, well, I might as well read it. I began to read it. Halfway through, I started getting tears in my eyes. My story was in that book. I went to the guard and I said, do they have these things here, these meetings? They said, yeah. He got me on a list. I started going to AA meetings in the prison. I just wanted to say thank you for the gift and thank you for the book. He said, because I just wanted to tell you, I still go back to the prison, but I don't stay anymore. I bring the meeting back to the prison now. And here's the beautiful thing about that. I still don't know who he is. I haven't the slightest idea. And I probably never will know who he is. I know his name, but where he lives and what he's doing, I have no idea. That's not important. I really believe that sometimes we do little things. It could be just to be nice to a human being, a hug, to say hello. The simple little things carry the biggest messages on the face of this earth. And that's why I've learned from this program, especially the 12th step, where it teaches me, just live your own recovery, live your own program, live your own life to the best of your ability. And as a result then, not even knowing it, a little bit at a time, you will reach out, touch another human being, and be part of the journey of life. That's how this thing gets passed on. We don't have to be big advocates and, stand up on the street corners, and we don't have to run around and save people and do all kinds of crazy stuff. We just have to simply have the courage to share the gift of yourself with others. And that's what it's really all about. But it's simple little things that count. I've been around a long time now, and I begin to see this over and over and over again. And I can share this. I can share a lot of beautiful things. I will never forget a gentleman. I don't want to use names. But when I started Starting Point back in the beginning, this gentleman will come to our center every day. And here's a gentleman that made a lot of money. Here's a gentleman that had a lot of prestige. But he would come every day to our halfway house. And he would bring a bag full of sandwiches for the guys in the house. And he'd sit there for 2 and 3 hours doing a rap session with them. And I said to him, why do you come here all the time? He said, but for the grace of God, that could be me. And he told me a story. He said a long time ago, believe it or not, he had a good job today. He's doing good. He actually was an attorney. He said, I made a lot of money today. He said, but at one time, I actually was at the bottom like they were. And somebody came along, gave me a little bit of money, gave me some food, and helped me get a place to live. I never forgot that. And that's why it's good for me to be here. It's like coming back home, he said. And literally, I realized today what this really is all about. And he would just arrive, with no idea where he just kind of arrived with his bag. I get a kick out of him a lot of times. He had bought sandwiches somewhere and brought sandwiches to the guys, but spent a lot of time with them. He had this beautiful gift inside of himself of truly believing that if you give back, you get back. And that's where service comes into play. Never forget, one of the greatest gifts we can share with another human being is the gift of our heart, the gift of our spirit, the gift of what's inside of here. And that comes in such simple ways, it's unbelievable. It can be in a simple word. It can be in caring about someone. All these little things that go on in life. But also the step says something else which is so beautiful. It says to practice these principles in all of our affairs. They could have picked a different word, but that's all right. I laugh about it all the time. But the bottom line is, they're saying to practice all these principles, to live by these principles in all areas of our life. You know, it's interesting. I just purchased a while ago a copy of the manuscript of the original big book. You know, you can actually get it from Hazleton. It's about this big and about that wide. And it has the original pages and the manuscript. Copies of it, of course, not the original. But basically, just to see the history in that book. And back in the beginning of the book, in the first 20 or 25 pages, they really go through the history of how the book was put together and the history of the conversations between Dr. Bob, Bill W., and some of the other men. And there's just something very powerful about it. But the one part that I really loved the most was when Bill W. and Dr. Bob were having a conversation. And they said something, I consider this to be pretty mystical. They said that we're putting this program together, not by our hands, but by someone else's hands. We're putting this program together from our heart. But I just have this feeling, Bill W. would say, that somehow, some way, this program is going to touch all kinds of people and all different ways of life over the course of life. And I really believe he had an insight at that moment. I call it a spiritual insight. It could have been an insight from the Holy Spirit, but something touched him to let him know that what they were doing, what they were actually experiencing, was going to reach out and touch people so powerfully over the course of the journey. And I find that powerful because I really believe that these principles, these foundations, these steps are fundamentally, basically a program for parenting, for working with your children. They're a program for relationships. Because let's face the facts. Every day we experience powerlessness. Every day we have the gift of surrendering to something. Every day we have to practice acceptance. Every day we need faith, we need trust. We have to open things up inside of ourselves. Every day we got to learn to stop trying to be in control, to let go, and to realize the fact that we're powerless over so many things in the course of life. I love that concept because I truly believe if you live this simple way of life, then life opens up all kinds of doors for you in so many different directions. And my thought for the month, for August, I talked a lot about what I call the KISS principle. It's one of my favorite principles in recovery. You know, and some people don't like one of the words in it, but I do. Where it says, keep it simple, and I use the word stupid, but I use it in the powerful sense. Because simplicity, and even the gift of stupidity, not stupidity in a negative sense, but in a positive sense. And for codependents, that's important. Because what do? We're always trying to figure everything out. We're trying to analyze everything. We're trying to find an answer to everything. Make ourselves half crazy. When really, in reality, there are no answers. It's just life. You can't figure life out. We have to learn to live life, not figure it out. The more you analyze it, the more you get a headache. What can I tell you? And the more you have to buy more Excedrin. It's all part of the process you have to go through. And so it's so much more fun just to be able to go with the flow. Because I really believe in something very powerful. It's kind of my mantra. That's the thing I told my wife at one of my tombstones. It says, trust the process works. There's a beautiful process to life. Everything kind of finds its way. The only obstacle to the process is us. Because for so very many times we have a tendency to want to figure it out, want to control it, organize it, when in reality you can't. And I've learned over the course of the journey that if I truly do open up my heart, open up myself to realize the fact that there are no answers, that life kind of goes where it's supposed to go. That's why I love that concept. Those three words I talk about all the time. Live, laugh, and love. You know, I told you this story before, but I always got a kick out of it. One of my favorite cartoons was also my little buddy Iggy, you know, from the old Philadelphia Bulletin years ago. He remembers that, I know that. But anyway, I got to pick on somebody, come on. But anyway, a lot of us remember it, don't worry. But Iggy is such a beautiful comic strip because he used to say simple little things, like he used to say, I've met the enemy is me. And then that famous comic strip where he is searching for the answer to life. And he climbed the mountain to go visit the famous guru. He was searching for this magical answer to life. After all the work he did to get to the top of that mountain, he knelt down in front of the guru. He said, oh, guru, what is the secret to life? The guru looked at him and said, go down and live. Huh? Is that it? That's it. Go down and live. But you know, think about this for a minute. We go through so many things in life. We go through sometimes sickness. We go through addiction maybe. We go through relationships, some that work and some that don't work. We go through different journeys in the course of our life. Things happen. It's part of the journey. Now, we have choices. I can either beat the crap out of myself and look at them negatively, or if I can get to a point, it takes a little while to get there, where I can learn from them and grow from them. Everything in life finds its way, sooner or later. That's why I'm a big advocate in recovery, connected with the 12-step. If you have patience, if you're open, everything will happen in God's time, not in our time. Things will happen when they're supposed to happen. The hardest part is to get out of the way. You know, I love it so much, but I share this especially with codependents in the room, because I really believe that our codependency disease creates in us what I call the codependent crazies. And the codependent crazies just simply means that I really, really think that I can either control things, organize things, fix things. Oh, we're great at that one. I want to fix things that don't want to be fixed. We'll fix them anyway, not a problem. It's amazing. You come right down to it. Because I want to try this angle, then that angle, then the other angle, then go over here. You get a headache after a while. Make nuts after a while. But basically, it ain't supposed to be, so it's not supposed to be. Is how simple it is? But life is this constant journey of change. For example, I remember when I used to do weddings, and I'd be preparing people for weddings, and a young couple would say to me, Vince, what's going to happen once we get married? Can you tell me where this is going to go? I said, well, I really can't tell you. I said, but see those two people sitting down there? They're parents. Go down and talk to them. They've been hanging out for about 25 or 30 years. Go see what they got to say about it. Oh, you mean, relax, take it easy. Go talk to them. Because guess what? I don't know where it's going to go. I don't know where tomorrow's going to go. The only thing I know is God gave me the gift of today. God gave me this moment. God gave me the simple things. And as a result, I have to understand the fact that I don't know about tomorrow. Why do you want to know about it anyway? It's going to come if it's supposed to. Do the best you can. But I'm really convinced that the secret to that 12th step, the secret to our program, is simplicity. The simpler you make your life, the less complicated you make it, the more beautiful it becomes. And also I've learned, you know, that thing about stupidity, the more you stop trying to figure life out and just learn to live it, life will take you where it's supposed to take you. Isn't that amazing? It just happens. You know, it's the same thing as regards everything in life. There's a beginning, there's an ending, there's a middle part, and what the bottom line is, we got to go through it all. It's all part of the journey. And we have changes in the journey. Things don't stay the same. But the beautiful part about it is everything goes around, comes back around again. It's all part of it. I get the biggest kick out of that. You know, hang around long enough, you know, and I don't know. The Charleston will be back again, I imagine, one of these days. Who knows? You know, what the heck? I can still do it, but it's all right. But that's the fun part about it. You know, things in life just, they have that circular motion. They just come. And that's why, you know, why worry? You know, sometimes I think that some of the islands, the way they look at life is so different than us, because they look at life in a very simple way. Don't worry about it. Everything will come when it's supposed to come. I remember my wife and I were at the islands, and we went into this store at St. Martin's, and the storekeeper, it was like 2 o'clock in the afternoon. We went in to buy something, and he said, come back later. I said, what do you mean come back later? He said, it's time to take a rest. Go home and rest. We open up later. I said, what time? Later. I said, what time? Later. He said, when I wake up, I'll come back. Maybe we'll open up. We'll see what happens. If I don't open today, then we'll do something tomorrow. But you know, as an American, that really upset me. I'm here to buy something. You're telling me to come back later? And then he said to me, whatever you want to buy will be here later, just as it is here today. Don't worry about it. But you know, I love that concept. Today I'm learning it. Took me a long time, a lot of stubbornness. Recovery is the exact same way. You know, I want recovery. Calm down, relax. It's something that just kind of happens over time. The slower, the better. The more gentle, the better. You know, you have to learn deep down inside that process to let things happen naturally. And that's where prayer comes into place, being able to ask for what you need. That's where basically being open to it. But realize the fact we don't need a lot. We don't need a lot. You know, I love that scripture thing where the Lord tells us, you know, do you think I take care of the birds of the air? Everything is taken care of. You know, why are you worrying? Things will work for you. They'll be okay. Just have faith, trust, do the best you can do every day, and things will go where they're supposed to go. But I've also learned when you stop trying to grab it, sometimes it comes along. It's amazing when you come right down to it. It's amazing. You know, there's so many stories and so many things of how faith and trust bring us to where we're supposed to go. And that's where we have to learn. And the 12th step teaches that to us. It teaches us that you take these principles, you live them to the best of your ability every day. Now, will you screw up 2 or 3 times a day? That's all right. It's about normal. You know, and screwing up's part of it. You know that. We got to fall down to get back up. We got to make mistakes. We got to go here. That's why I've learned something, and the old timers taught it to me a long time ago. The only thing in life is one day. It's today. And even the early founders said the exact same thing. Just do it for one day. That's enough. Don't worry about it. Yesterday, we all made mistakes. We all did things in life. Learn from them, grow from them, move forward from them. Don't live in them. Don't beat yourself up. Don't be so hard on yourself. Learn to laugh at yourself. Want to know why? Because we're funny. You don't believe it? When you wake up tomorrow morning, go look in the mirror. If you don't laugh, you're really sick. What can I tell you? It's the fun part about life. Sometimes you got to laugh at life, even when it's not funny. Because laughter sometimes gets you through situations, and sometimes you have no idea how you're going to get through them. And sometimes obstacles come into your way. And I'm glad they do, because obstacles are really teachers when they come into your life. And from them, we have to be able to work through them and get to the other side. It all kind of comes where it's supposed to come. And the big thing is to love. Love yourself. You are the greatest gift on the face of this earth, each one of us is. Every day, love yourself even more. Make yourself be lovable to you. Because if you truly, truly learn to love yourself, then the love from you will go out to others. So I'll talk about tonight in that 12th step is something called spirit. Inside of all of us, there's an energy and a spirit that makes us who we are. That spirit's not your body. Your body will one day come to an end. It's going to get old. Believe me, it will. Not a problem. Don't worry about it. It's all part of the journey. And one day it'll come to an end. But your spirit will never come to an end. Your spirit is what makes you the unique individual that you are. And each one is unique. And therefore, if I truly, truly learn to love my spirit, be in touch with my spirit, then the energy from me will go out to others. I really believe that. I use the example all the time. You know as well as I. There are 2 little children and pets you cannot fool. Want to know why? They don't hear a word that you say. But they can also pick up the spirit coming out of you. Because children are still at that stage where they can feel what's coming out of you. They feel your spirit. You can say everything you want to say to them, but they know exactly what's going on. And animals are the exact same way. It's amazing, isn't it? An animal knows when to stay away from you because they feel your energy. they can actually see and feel the energy around you. Because I really believe we are people of energy. And our energy is the part of us that flows towards others. That's why I really believe in the law of attraction. And so in the 12th step, what you're actually saying is, if I take the time to do my work, if I take the time to build a sense of myself, if I become comfortable being me, then I will share a message of myself with others, of the things that are part of me. But I'll share them not in big ways, little ways. Little better. I am so convinced some of the greatest gifts in life is letting somebody know you care. And that caring can just come in all kinds of shapes, styles, and forms. But love is a gift. It's an energy. It's a powerful energy. It's got to come from the inside, not from the outside. That's one of the biggest mistakes that many of us make. Like you're looking for somebody to love me. Hey, go look in the mirror. Keep it simple, will you? You're looking for somebody to love you. I want to be loved. Then go ahead. We keep looking for everything external, external, external. I want you to make me happy. Hey, how can anybody make you happy? Come on, give me a break here, will you? It's got to come from the inside, from your spirit, from the inside of you. That's why they're telling you in the 12th step, take the principles that you live by. Take who you are. Take the gift of yourself. And just a little bit at a time, share that gift with another human being. There's an old term called pass it on. Simple concept. You pass it on by just being who you are and sharing that with others. Simple little things. And do me a favor, please. Don't go around trying to fix anybody. I hate that. You fix your car. Don't fix people. Okay? Take a break, will you? We got to fix people, And basically, you have to realize I can't fix anybody. Your journey belongs to you. My journey belongs to me. We're all on a separate journey. And do we have handicaps? Step 6 and 7 told us that we do. Isn't it wonderful? We have handicaps. We have idiosyncrasies. We have all kinds of little things. It's great. I always tell my wife all the time, I say, we could really make a lot of money for Starting Point if you would come and roast me. I could sell tickets. She said, keep dreaming. But it's a fun part about life, because sometimes you need to laugh at yourself a little bit and laugh at life a little bit. Because we all got our stuff, our little idiosyncrasies, things that we do, our little things here and there. They're all part of the journey. And that's okay. That's our humanness. And whatever you do, please give yourself permission to be human. The steps teach us that. The steps realize the fact that we can settle things in life. We can make peace. That's called making amends. We can learn how to make peace with things in life. There's nothing in life that has happened on your journey that can't be settled in one way or another. And if you have the patience, if you have the openness, and you have the time, everything will happen. But it will happen not in your time, but in God's time. And sometimes you have to just wait. I've seen over and over again situations where, over time, things kind of go where they're supposed to go. One of my biggest fears, I'll be honest with you, when I was in the priesthood, was my fear of leaving. The reason why I had my fear of leaving was because it was a pretty comfortable lifestyle. And as a result, I had these big fears. What will people think? How would I earn a living? How would I survive? I don't even know how to function out there. And as a result, then, how am I going to be able to transition into a new life? Well, I'm going to be very honest with you. If it wasn't for this program, if it wasn't for a lot of people that gave me a lot of support, if it wasn't for a sense of faith, and sometimes you have to walk into the unknown, not knowing where you're going, and basically have a sense of faith and trust. That's why I love that wonderful movie, Field of Dreams. Build it and they will come. You have to just step out there and do what you got to do. Life is risks. It's all part of it. You take them. And what's so beautiful about it? In the beginning, you're scary. In the beginning, you wonder. But then after a period of time, it just kind of goes where it's supposed to go. It's fantastic. It's a beautiful part about the journey. And that's why, as you look at the steps, and I get excited about them, I can't help it. Because the steps, to me, are a beautiful formula. I really believe, I want to say this because I say it from the inside of my heart, I truly believe that the steps were something divinely inspired. I truly believe it. I believe that the principles, the concepts of the steps were divinely inspired. Because the early founders even said it themselves. You know, think about it for a minute. You get a bunch of recovering drunks in a room, and you put together the big book, you put together the 12 steps and the 12 traditions. Now, the higher power had to be there somewhere, because those suckers couldn't do it, that's for sure. Just imagine that, you know? And so somehow, some way, there was a lot that went on. And when I looked at the manuscript, it's really interesting. Maybe I'll bring it in one night and show it to you. When you look at the manuscript, you can see where they crossed stuff out, where they wrote notes in the corner, where they put stuff here. God, they must have went crazy putting that thing together. You can see their initials, all the kinds of stuff they did back and forth. But you know, there's something very spiritual about that. It was an art in progress. It was a work in progress. And progress always takes time. Beautiful things take a long period of time. You know, you go to the Sistine Chapel and see that ceiling. Look how many years and years and years it took him to paint it. It's a work of art. Everything in life that has this beauty to it, but take it to another level. Look at yourself. Each one of us are one of God's creations. Each one of us is a unique and special person. Each one of us has that energy and that life inside of us. It gets dim sometimes, I know that. We get upset sometimes when we go through changes. There are times even when you get to a point where you think it's not going to work. There are times when you get depressed. But there's always a light on the other side. My grandson said it beautifully to me when he was 7 years old. We were standing outside. It was stormy. It was really raining. You know, I was having a bad day. What can I tell you? And I'm kind of getting really upset because it was raining. 7 years old, he turns to me and he says, "Papa, the sun is still shining on the other side of the clouds. Wait a while. It'll be back." Okay. Now, think about that for a minute in our lives. When you think it's the darkest, when you think it's not going to work, remember, the sun is still shining on the other side of the clouds. And in time, it will come back. Everything in life goes through that process. And we're going to go through that. And so the steps are telling me, take these principles, bring them into your daily, everyday life. They're a way to live. That's why don't just do the steps. I get upset sometimes. People say to me, "Well, I did my steps. That's done." Oh, good. Finished? Did you pass the test? Where's your report card? No. You go through them. But now comes the biggest part, living them. Living them in all different aspects of our life. Living them in our daily, everyday practices. Living them when we walk out the front door. Living them on our job. Living them in all areas of our life. And that's where the real work comes into play. That's where the real struggle comes into play. That's where the simple little things of life. And you're going to have situations that are going to occur in your life that sometimes you're going to feel, whoa, how can I get through this? But somehow you will. It's amazing. I remember a good friend of mine who's a Vietnam vet. He's in the program. He said to me, "Vince, I got to tell you a story." He said, "When I was in Vietnam, I really thought that I was in hell. When I was in Vietnam, I never thought I'd ever come home again. And all I ever did was pray every morning, do the best I could every day. And one day at a time, eventually I did come home. There are a lot of people who didn't come home. I could be one of them. But for the grace of God, I'm not. And so in gratitude, I got to take time to be grateful for everything I have. I don't care, whatever it is. Because to be able to come through that and to come back, I have to have a sense of gratitude, you know. And also have to realize the fact that it was prayer that kept me going and kept me through the things I had to get through. You know, and I look back on a lot of people's lives and things people have gone through in life. I even look back on my family and my parents and things they've experienced. And I can tell you today, I don't think I could have made it through. Maybe I could. what my mom went through, what my father went through in this world, through wars and depressions and everything else, and the struggles and the things they went through. But you know what? They did it. They didn't cry. They did it. They did the best they could with it. And that's why sometimes in life we need hardship. Because a friend of mine said to this, he says, hardship and struggle make you stronger. They make you stronger. They build your character. And sometimes we've got to experience that in life. And that's really what it's really all about. And that's why we have to kind of stay away from, judgment on ourselves, being tough on ourselves. So please give yourself a break, okay? Lighten up. Enjoy life. Live. Laugh. Play. Have fun. Do the best you can. Now, you're going to have heartache? Yep. Congratulations. But look at the heartache in a positive way. Look at change in a positive way. People always ask me, they say, do you regret your years in the priesthood? I say, no. They were powerful, teachable moments. I learned a lot from that experience I went through in my life. I don't regret anything. I don't regret any part of my journey. I realize today, I did for a long time go through a lot of crazy stuff with that. But I realize now, no. No matter where you went on your journey in life, no matter what happened, losses, changes, everything else, struggles, you may have experienced parts of a disease or things that happen in that direction. That's all part of our humanness. Now, ask yourself a question. Can I take my humanness and apply my spirit to it? And my spirit is what gets me through the journey. I shared this before, but years ago when I was a priest, one of the places I visited was a naval hospital in Philadelphia. And I remember this gentleman, I kind of forgot his name, but I would still remember him. When we were up there, he was in a wheelchair. He had lost both his arms and both his legs in the war. And he had 2 stumps, and they had made a special wheelchair for him. And he used to actually drive the wheelchair with this part of his arm on the button. He maneuvered the thing around. I'm going to tell you, that man inspired me. He had this energy, and it was unbelievable. He would go around the hospital visiting everybody, telling them to get their chins up, to look at life in a positive way. He went around to people that had addiction problems and told them, come on, let's get ourselves together here. They used to call him the ambassador. He went around the hospital all day long. He said to me, he said, Vince, maybe I'm handicapped this way, but this is not handicapped, he used to say. My spirit's not handicapped. It's in my heart. And I want to be able to share with as many people as I can. I've seen that over and over and over again. Because once you're able to get through your handicap, you're able to develop your asset and to see a spirit. And to me, that's what it's really all about. And it's not about, running everything, being in charge of everything, organizing everything. Now, come on, just kind of do the best you can. See what happens, okay? Real simple. I've learned that over and over again. Yeah, I've told you the story before. Every once in a while, the state of New Jersey sends us forms. I always love those forms. They arrive and they want me to submit my 10-year plan for Starting Point. I write one day at a time and I mail it back. After 3 years, they didn't bother me anymore. It's really amazing. 10 years? I don't know. I'll be 88 years old. What do I know I'm going to be in 10 years? Where will Starting Point be in 10 years? How do I know? Don't you have goals? I say, yeah, to wake up in the morning. To say my prayers. To do the best I can. To basically help somebody out in the course of the day. And over time, you know what? It'll take care of itself. Everything goes where it's supposed to go. But it will go in God's time, not in my time. So I just want to share this with you in closing. The steps are a beautiful, beautiful way of life. They're a beautiful formula. Take them to your heart. Try to live by them. But above all, keep it simple, okay? Because simplicity and centralize things around prayer, faith, trust, and know that somehow, some way, something more powerful is guiding us and will always be there. It's all part of our journey. Hope this series helps you understand the steps a little bit better. And I'm going to start a new series next week, So it's one of my mini series. It's a 3-week series. My favorite ones. It's on how to do a positive inventory of your life. I love it because I want to emphasize nothing but positive stuff, so get ready for that one. Okay? How do you do a positive inventory of your life? You know, so many times we get stuck in the negative. So I'll do a session on developing good, healthy, positive attitudes. Then I'll talk on good, healthy self-esteem. Then I'll do a session just on maturity and responsibility and the concept of putting all that package together and being able to look at yourself in a positive and beautiful way. So I really believe that if we think positively, a lot of beautiful things will happen to you. That's why I told you so many times one of my favorite books on the face of this earth is The Power of Positive Thinking. I really do believe if you look at life positively and you have a sense of faith and vision, everything will come to you. But always remember, it comes in God's time, not in our time. So thanks for coming out. Hope it helped. One announcement I forgot to make. Every Wednesday we do have a Naranon meeting, which takes place at 8 o'clock down the hall here. And then also at 8 o'clock tonight, we have meditation class. Tony was here this afternoon. He told me he'd be here tonight. We have a meditation class at 8 o'clock, so you're welcome to stay for that also, okay? And we also do that at 12 o'clock, too. We have meditation class after the 12 noon lecture also. So you're more than welcome to stick around for that, okay? So thank you. We have a way to be closed. Can we join hands and we'll say the Serenity Prayer. And I'm going to need somebody who has not bought a ticket for the 10-week club to pull a ticket out for me, okay? Okay, who woke us up this morning? God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. We are somebody special because God don't make no junk. I forgot to mention also, if you want to, we're really trying to do a lot of new things with Starting Point's Facebook page. So if you want to kind of sign in for it and be a part of it, we're doing some live streaming. There's some name they have for it, I don't know. So we're doing a lot of different things with it. So if you want to check it out, you can. I need somebody. Did you buy a ticket? Good. You can, get out of there. You got to close your eyes and dig deep. Okay? Close your eyes and dig deep. And just one, not 3. Okay. Shana Marshall.
Shut up.
She runs our drunk driving program here. That's amazing. Okay. Okay. Take care of yourself. I love you.
I was in Puerto Rico. I went to Puerto Rico once, right? And I got off the plane. I could drive to the Marriott there, you know, and go to my room. Then they have this concession store. And I go downstairs. I get what I needed, you know. And the guy behind the counter turns his back to me. Starts doing stuff. I'm like, what are you doing? He says, and I got it, you know.
That's the way it works. I forgot I got this thing on. Hey, hon, hold on one second. Let me get this thing off of me. I don't think you want to be on the air, do you?
No, I don't.
I didn't think so. Okay.
So good to see you.